Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be degreasing this engine. The outside's not too dirty, as you can see, it's okay. All of this potentially is being sprayed, but what I'm doing today inside here is absolutely filthy. So I'm going to pull this cowl off and we're going to take all these cowls off. Got some degreaser spray, I've got some washing up liquid, basically stuff we use in the UK. I'm going to be using some of that, scrubbing it all. What's happened is the 2-stroke cap on the other side, the seal's gone in the top of it. So when they've filled it up to the top and when they've trimmed the engine right up at the end of the day, there's been bits of oil leaking out. It's ended up on the flywheel and then it's been spread around the whole engine. I've added to the problem. When I took this engine off the boat and I lay it on the floor in the garage, I didn't realise how bad the cap was. So the oil's all come out, it's gone into the airbox, it's literally everywhere. The engine is plastered in like greasy, sticky stuff. Anytime I touch the engine to work on it, I'm getting black. You can see all my fingerprints all over this white cowl. This was clean. I don't want that, it has to be clean. So the plan is degrease the whole engine. I did ask on Facebook opinions, it's very, very mixed what you can and can't do. So today we're going to find out. I'm going to be scrubbing it like crazy with degreaser. The degreaser shouldn't be used on plastic or rubber, so you've got to be careful where you put it. In sensitive areas, around the injectors, HT leads, all the electricals, I'm going to use soapy water. Hopefully that'll break down the grease and get rid of it. On the engine block and the metal parts, I'm using degreaser because it is thick on there. Then basically I'm going to use the pressure washer on a low setting to rinse it all down. I'm not blasting water at it, really like full on powerful, but I am going to rinse it all down. Sun's shining today for once in the UK, this is unusual. So I'm going to leave it outside and let it dry out. The engine's not going to be run for probably another week or two, so it gives everything time to dry out. I need a new fuel line, I need to get more 2-stroke basically. I'm going to plug it into diagnostics and I'm going to purge the oil system. I want to put brand new oil in it, so I'm going to get rid of the old 2-stroke that's in there, put fresh in, purge all the system on the diagnostics with a computer, because you can click purge, it'll run at 400 RPM and it'll purge the oil system, make sure there's no airlock, stuff like that in it. Anyway, let's pull this cowl off. I'll show you a little bit closer at what I want to get rid of and we'll crack on with it. To pull this cowl off, you've got a handle here and you've got one in the same place as the other side. Simple to take off, undo those and it'll lift off. What I'll do, I've got the little camera here. I'll get in closer with this one and show you what I'm on about. You can probably see this is a bit of condensation, but there's also oil on here. If you can see my fingerprints in that, I'm hoping you can. It's thick, sticky oil. What I think it is solidified 2-stroke. You can see it all up here. It's absolutely filthy, look. Anytime I touch this engine, it's just covering my hands in oil. Silly things I want to do, you can see here, that's ripped. I want to replace that on top of there. I don't want to have damaged parts, it's poly OCD. Things like this are unclipped. I'm not sure what that fuse is actually for. That fuse was blown. Drop it down in the comments, let me know. That fuse goes up here, out the way, just like that. The tank is pretty empty, it's down below that line. But when you fill it up and tip the engine up, that cap's leaking, and it was leaking out onto the flywheel. And that is what I believe spread it around the whole engine, unfortunately. You can see it all in the back of here. It's like, yeah, it's like lard, really. You can see it on my fingers. It's absolutely thick with it everywhere. The other side, you can see a little bit more of the engine. I'll show you. Up here is really thick, greasy stuff, as you can see. Down here, I've cleaned it off, and you can see the difference in there. The engine is immaculate underneath, so it probably has protected the engine, I suppose. There's no rust on it anywhere, but all over the leads are black and sticky. Everything's just absolutely plastered in it. I give this a clean, as you can see. Nice clean plastic. Here, it's all sticky, horrible stuff. So basically, that's what we're doing. I'm going to take the airbox off in a moment. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to unscrew this, pull this airbox off, and I'm going to cover the 2 inlet ports. I may use rubber gloves over it, plastic bag, something like that. You do not want to be getting water into the air intake system where it sucks in there. If you get water in there, in the butterfly valves, as soon as you fire the engine up, it's going to suck the water straight in. So I've unscrewed that. It'll probably be easier to take this off with the cowls off, but it will come off. Hopefully with the sunshine on it, you can see the oil. The airbox is actually full of oil. Can you see that? Hang on. There we go, look. That is actually my own fault, because when I've tipped the engine back, by the looks of it, the two-stroke has drained into it. That's the butterfly valves I'm on about right there. Obviously, you rev the engine, they open just like that. So if you start getting water inside here anywhere, and there is gaps underneath, you will get water into your system. You really don't want it. So I am going to seal these, put some rubber gloves around it or something, cable ties, bags, just to make sure it's sealed. You can actually see a big build-up of rubbish on that valve, look. That's just probably oil which has been sucked in from the airbox when it's been leaking. So maybe it wasn't just me, because I've not actually used this engine. So we'll give it a really, really good clean everywhere. Get it back looking new. Let's crack on with it. So as you just seen, I just showed you around quickly with a little camera. Hopefully it wasn't too shaky. So what I'm going to do is take these cowls off. I've got an 8mm socket screwdriver, makes the job a bit easier. There is 8 screws holding this cowling on. With these cowls, the lugs are known to snap. So when you start undoing these screws, if they're stuck in the sleeve inside here, stop, spray them, wiggle it back and forth and free them up, because you will snap your lugs off. So get it on. I know these are free because I've literally put it back together a couple of days ago. So I'm going to take all these screws out and pull the cowls off. You do have a little electric socket for the trim behind here. It's just tucked down here. So when you take this cowl off, don't just rip it off. Take your time, unclip the electrics. It's simple to unclip and get them out of the way. I'm going to be doing this side of the engine now. I have just done a little bit, but I didn't press record. I've got to watch this area because there is a lower plastic and electrical connections here. There isn't much there. It's more of an engine block and the throttle and gear linkage. So what I'm going to do, give it a light spray in that area with the degreaser, and then I'm going to give it a scrub with the tough brush everywhere, and then give it a rinse off in a bit. There is going to be grease. You can see the grease coming off these bolts, look. You can see that's gone. It's just ripped all that grease off. There is going to be some manufacturer's grease around these joints and connections where everything touches and pivots. So what I'm going to have to do is replace that grease. I'll get a good marine grease on there and replace it all. But the stuff that's on it, it's just gone old and sticky, so I may even have to undo these connections and put fresh grease inside and around it all. That's more than likely what I will do. What I'm going to do is carry on scrubbing this with a tough brush. It's going to take hours, probably, but it's got to be done. I can't leave it the way it is. I need to get it spotless and strip everything off. So I'm going to carry on cleaning this. I'll put you back on time lapse while I'm giving it a good clean. And basically, my engine is the guinea pig engine. We're going to see what this spray does to it, and hopefully it don't damage anything. Well, as you can see, the whole engine has been cleaned now. I ended up using 2 tins of that WD-40 degreaser, and it's about $7.50 a tin. It's flipping expensive, but I've gone over everything. There is a few bits right deep inside up here where I can't get to. If I really forced a brush in, I probably could, but you've got pipes and stuff, so I haven't gone really deep into it. I've done everywhere I can reach without damaging anything, if that makes sense. I've done all of it. I've took the covers off here, checked inside. There's no water got into the air intakes, which is a good thing. I've done everywhere, literally, and I pressure washed it in the end on full power. I had no choice. I did it on light. It just wasn't doing anything. So I took the risk and I've blasted it. This has come back up like absolutely brand spanking new. You can see on here, I'll probably do is get this camera on. I'll show you closer up. As you can see on these bits, all the original protective grease has gone, so I will be replacing that. There's a roller here which needs more grease, but this is a lot smoother than it was, believe it or not. All of it is a lot smoother, everything's just better. I did literally pressure wash all around here. Something I did notice, there's rubber on these plates, as you can see here. It was whatever oil was on the engine had broken this rubber up. It had degraded it. I was rubbing it off with my finger, so I am going to have to replace these plates or replace the protective coating on it. That one is sort of the same as well. And then going around the engine, everything is spotless. I couldn't read all these codes before, now I can. So all the two-stroke tanks clean, all inside ears clean, all that was full of gunk in there. I've literally pressure washed everything. I even pressure washed around the ECU, which is a little bit worrying, but we'll find out when I come to run it. What I've done then, I've got the air gun on the compressor, as you can see here. I've gone around the whole engine with the air gun and I've blew it all off. If you look here, inside the butterfly valves, everything here is nice and dry. No water's got in there at all. When I open them up, it's nice and clean inside. You probably can't see because of the shadow, but they are all nice and clean inside. But everything's been done. I need to put that back on. Little rubber there. You can see though, it's absolutely immaculate compared to what it was. So what I did, hit it all with a degreaser everywhere. I've scrubbed it all, rinsed it all off, pressure washed it off. I've then gone back over it with soapy water, washing up liquid, just to remove any residue. I don't know if this mark in here, down here, is from the degreaser. It might be, but I'm respraying this engine anyway, so I'm not worried about any of it, to be honest. But these marks could be from the degreaser, I'm not sure. There is a few marks down here as well on the side, but the paint work on the skeg of the engine wasn't great, so that is one of the reasons why I wanted to paint it all. So anyway, what I've done, hit it with degreaser, scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed with tough brushes, pressure washed it on full power. That's with the Dirt Buster Lance on the car chat. It's powerful. I just didn't have it really close. Then I've gone over it all with soapy water, washing up liquid and warm water, rinsed it all off on a low setting on the jet wash, and then I've gone over it with a blower from the compressor to blow all the water out. Now I'm going to leave it to air dry as it's sitting, but as you can see, touching everywhere, behind everything, it's bone dry. So next is get all the covers back on, give the engine another wash. I want to make sure the covers are all waterproof. What I may do, the pipe work, that's being replaced. It's the old fuel pipe, but it's just temporary for now. But all the pipes here that you can see everywhere, all of this, I'm going to WD-40, bit of rag, and just rub some WD-40 on the plasticky parts and the pipes and on the electrical connections. Give them a little spray inside, clip them back together, make sure all the water's been pushed out, and make sure everything's connected properly and tidy. So yeah, can you pressure wash the engine? Yes, you can. Will it run? We'll find out soon, because I need to get a new fuel line and two-stroke. But I'm confident it'll be fine. I really am. Everything was protected that needed protecting. There's no water got inside the engine. Yeah. If it don't run now, it's something I've done because it was running. We'll find out though. I will be doing a video soon on the diagnostics and firing the engine up and purging the old system, because I'm going to get the old two-stroke out of that tank and replace it. So it's going to probably cause a big airlock, so it's going to need purging. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.